Yeah, I'm a first timer and I'm bold, and I came and I wrote my slides before I knew what was going on. So I have to admit, I do not have any of my own beautiful research images like some of the talks before. And I'm not even talking about my own data. I'm talking about a problem that I was looking for shopping around help on. But let me say, first of all, this is a talk not about science so much as about regulation, but I think about regulation as a scientist. So, breathing is regulating oxygen. What we want to do is we want to make sure that our companies and our economy and our society and our planet can keep going forward. So that's what we're trying to do when we regulate. All right. So is there something else I want to say on the first slide? No, that's fine. Okay, so slide 2. So this is a problem I've been really interested in for a few years. So what happened was a lot of people, let me draw this. Okay. So a lot of people have seen like this slide about inequality, which is like, here's productivity and here's wages. This is, of course, the United States. And this is 1978, okay? Sorry, thank you, 1978. So this is productivity, this is wages, and this is 1978. And everybody's like, what happened? They get out and they do their TED Talks about the great decoupling, okay? But this is 1945, okay? So, and why I bring that up is now I've got too many things in my hands. Now I want to come over here. Yeah, I should always have had a moving mic. This is looking a little earlier. So again, this is the United States. We're starting with the brilliant invention of income tax when we abolished alcohol tax. We replaced it. So from 1913 until the present, we're looking at what proportion of income goes to the top 1% of earners. And we're also, so that's how we're measuring inequality. And we're also measuring polarization at the elite level. So this is basically the US Congress, whether the two parties are cooperating, all right? So what's been known, and this is not only in the United States, it's in most countries, but not all, is that polarization is correlated with inequality. And nobody knew why. Okay, but notice that what happened was, and now that we have this, we can look before, inequality was rocketing up during the 19th century. There was suddenly this huge problem with governing. Again, you can read Churchill talking about it when he's still a liberal. He came back from some war and said, what happened? Why is it so much harder to lead right now? We think about inequality as being the proletariat having no power, but the elite also are in a period of high volatility. Things are changing all the time. They can't handle it. So we had World War I, and we had the financial crash. And then in the United States, enough of the elite signed up with the proletariat, and we got the New Deal. And we were able to bring down polarization, and we were able to bring down inequality. And we kept doing that until 1978, we just stopped. And to me, that looks like a policy decision. I actually think it's because that was about when we saw that the Soviet economy had plateaued. So we thought, oh, capitalism won and communism is going to lose. So I think that's why we just shifted our policy. Anyway, what we do know, I think I spent too long on this slide asking me about the China and Germany thing. I'll just tell you. Basically, I don't think it's inequality itself. I think it's the precarity of being close to bankruptcy and foreclosures. And so inequality creates false scarcities, but the real problem is when you are falling towards not being able to make, hold on to your house, hold on to your family. And that's not true in China and Germany, because for historic reasons, they work really hard to make sure that that a rising tide raises all ships. So they're better regulated. Okay, that was too long on slide 2. Slide 3. One of the things that happened in the 19th century, so the US, they weren't the first democracy, there's Switzerland and stuff, but they were pretty big leaders, and they had a really bad time. I mean, basically we got our butts kicked in 1812, right? We don't talk about that too much because there was an ocean and the UK decided to make a special relationship, but basically they came back and kicked our butts. And then we had an awful, awful civil war. And then all of a sudden there was all these innovations like telegraph, steel, rails, all these things, an incredible concentration of power. And there was a question, can a democracy govern people? I mean, Putin has things he does if he thinks someone has too much power, right? But can a democracy handle people with this much power or companies with this much power? And what the United States did was innovate this idea, which is antitrust. Now, antitrust isn't saying it's illegal to do good. I like, since we've just had the Euro Cup, I don't know if well, there was the America's Cup too, right? You guys all know the offsides rule, right? If somebody is just super fast and runs past all the defenders and scores a goal, that's fine. But if they're already past the goal, you can't pass to them. And that's how antitrust works. It's basically if you dominate, which does not necessarily mean you have more than half of the market, then you have extra rules of good behavior you have to do. Okay. So most people think about antitrust. What? How much? Oh, I'm done. Okay. Well, I will just finish by saying that the solution, the other half of the solution is utilities. So there's some things that are too big to fail or too big to be broken up. And that's the question. So how are we going to handle these things? And that is the thing I want to talk to you guys about. So I think we need to set a set of treaties, because I think why we're not handling utilities well anymore is because they're transnational. And so we need a way to govern it cooperatively, and the EU is a good example of that. Thank you.